about what is the function of GraphLinq? What is the goal of the project?
Sure. So GraphLink is going to allow the average user who doesn't is not a coder to be able to interact with blockchains, dexes, central exchanges, and messaging platforms, and pretty much anything that you can think of, and create graphs to interact with all of these in a visual IDE. So what that means is it is a no-code interface, which means you basically drag and drop blocks, and these blocks will perform different functions like getting a price from a DEX or a central exchange and returning that information and allowing you to interact with it and then take actions. Uh, but like I said, the biggest thing is that it is a no code interface. It is a drag and drop where you basically are connecting blocks to each other to perform these tasks. And that is basically the gist of it.
Wonderful. So you are decentralizing information and monitoring processes in a way, giving access to people who may not have had access to these complicated API.
Absolutely. And it's more than just APIs. I mean, it's just, basically a block can be created for just about anything. And you would be able to pull data from any source. It doesn't have to necessarily be just a blockchain. The messaging platform can send messages to Telegram, to Discord, via email. You can do push messaging to push bullet and also push over. And again, basically be able to interact with different platforms of pulling and pushing data between them.
All right. And can you give us, you said about price graph, can you give us an idea of the broad application? From what to what does it range? What was created with GraphLinq and what can be created by GraphLinq?
Sure. So, really, what you can create with GraphLink is just limited to your imagination. Right now, the ability to pull data from something such as Uniswap, be able to watch transactions on Uniswap, to be able to pull data from Binance or some of the other exchanges is possible. And using the blocks that are in the IDE, you can manipulate that data and do any type of work that you would normally do in a programmatic interface where you'd have to write the code to do it, but just do it by connecting these blocks and changing the data and then taking action on the data. So creating a bot that could handle really anything that's going on with these types of data sources, and then taking action on that. So if you were to monitor for a transaction on a chain and then take action after you detect that transaction, that would be possible. Really, you're limited to your imagination. There are many more use cases, but I mean those are the big ones. And like I said, the price bot is live right now. So when you type in a command in the Telegram channel, the graph that is running on AWS servers is listening to the Telegram channel, and when it gets the command, it then executes the graph, which goes to Uniswap, gets the current price, takes that data, and cleans it up and makes it look nice, and then sends it back into the Telegram channel. Yeah.
I'm trying to map here the external boundary of what are the limits, and I'm thinking about oracles. Is GraphLink just specifically looking at the crypto world, or could you have events of the real world potentially represented on the blockchain? Something like, did this basketball team beat the other basketball team? Is that the kind of oracle work that you could eventually do?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Thank you. Yes, you can pull data from an API source, and you can also use a webhook to be able to send data back to a web source that would be able to take action. So even though the main objective is to be able to interact with blockchains and exchanges, and in the crypto world, the ability to bring in real world data is still very possible and is a use case for this product.
All right. Well, that seems like an extensive set of applications, BTC VIX, potentially in the field of even truth verification, event verification, potentially betting, all sorts of things. Perhaps just to complete on your interrogation, and then we switch to the child projects. Jay wrote, how can an ape, so someone interested in trading and potential risky trading, how could he benefit from GraphLinq?
Sure. So the biggest thing is that you have access to multiple data sources. So you would be able to pull from Bitfinex, Bittrex. You could pull prices from CoinEx, Huobi, Kraken, KuCoin. Basically, instantly by dropping one of these blocks in, they basically are going to give you, just to kind of explain a little bit about what a block is. You're going to get a block that has a left and a right side to it. So the left is your input side and the right is your output side. So you could provide a bot with, say, your API key, and then tell that to, a block with your API key, and then tell it to get a certain price. That would also be an input, so say the ticker. And the output could be things like the price, the all-time high, the market cap, the volume, and you would be able to get this from multiple sources and then manipulate it with inside of your graph, and then take action on it based on what you would like to do with it. And just some examples of where that information can go out to, besides just a regular API, there is the ability to go to Twitter, Telegram, SMTP, Pushbullet, Discord, and multiple others. And these new functionalities, these new blocks are added all the time. In the last week or so, new blocks have been added, and each time it extends the functionality out to more data sources and more output sources of where that information can be sent to. Imagine, back when web development started becoming a thing, and the average person who wanted to create a website couldn't create it because they didn't know HTML. And that's not even a programming language. We're just talking about HTML. And in the past years, we've seen things like WordPress and Wix come along and allow the average person to be able to use a graphical interface to be able to execute stuff that is foreign to them. And that is really what GraphLinq is aiming to do, is to give really powerful data access to the average person who doesn't need to know how to do these things. So, for instance, another use case is creating an ERC20 contract or token. The average person who wants to do that has to go learn Solidity, and that's probably too much for most average computer users. But using a drag and drop interface is something that they would be able to do. And there are templates to be able to get you started with this. So you can actually kind of learn by doing and be able to see how to execute these things, and within a few minutes be able to get something going. I'm not sure, Evie, what your programming level experience is, but if you were to attempt to try to create an app that's going to interact with a blockchain, so say you decided to use Python, by default, Python does not talk to Web3 and to wallets and to a blockchain. You're going to need to learn some new languages. You're going to have to download plugins to be able to get access to this type of information. And then from there, you're going to need to start writing some code just to be able to get some of this data. And with GraphLinq, you're basically at the stage of being able to build your application right off of the bat. All of the prep work is done. And rather than trying to look through the documentation of how to use a blockchain or how to use an ERC20 token, you basically have blocks that are going to tell you exactly what data you need to put in and exactly what data is going to come out. So, as a developer and as someone who knows Solidity and other programming languages, the ability to do rapid deployment, especially in the crypto space, where every day a new token, a new project is launching, and to be able to focus on the data and the end result right away without having to ramp up to it is a major feat right now, and to be able to bring that to someone who normally wouldn't have access to it. So imagine if you had someone who is a data analyst, and they needed some type of data, they would normally have to speak to a developer, and then the developer would have to go and program something for them to be able to get that data, and then the analyst would be able to consume it. With this, your entire team would be able to visually see where this data is coming from and interact with it on a level that crosses between a data analyst, the CEO, and the developer. It's on a level that basically a kid could be able to interact with these very powerful blockchains and other APIs and things without having to actually learn any code. And I think that's really the biggest selling point. And then real quick, just wanted to mention that we at the GraphLinq side signed a partnership with Unicrypt and Polygon, formerly Matic. And Matic will be integrating into GraphLink's analytics that will be launching next month. And those are the first two initial partnerships, Unicrypt and Matic or Polygon, and there are more to come. And each one of these strengthens the core of what GraphLinq does, because it is going to bring new blocks, new data, and new uses that honestly we probably haven't even thought of just yet. So the project is rapidly expanding and evolving as we speak.
Well, hopefully BT Civics will find a way to set his new headphone. But anyway, the show must go on. Let's move on to the topic of adoption. So adoption, the question of just how much people are populating your platform, to how many people is that starting to be useful already? Starting with JRoot, what is the level of adoption of GraphLinq?
I think that anyone who spends a few minutes playing around in the IDE and sees the level of what you can accomplish in a very short amount of time is going to lead to rapid adoption of this. As I said earlier, we have partnerships that have been signed, and we have a lot more coming that I think is going to continue to expand this. But to the point of just the rapid deployment, the product is already being used. People are creating their own graphs, and one of the great things about that is if you create something that is unique, there is going to be a community marketplace which will allow you to sell your graph and allow others to use it while you still maintain control of the original code, but they will be allowed to use it. So if I create an arbitrage bot or something that has some value, or even if it's just something that's going to work with your app, that even brings a whole nother level of being able to rapidly deploy, because you can tap into what our community is creating. Like I said, there are some templates right now that you can instantly just duplicate and start using and do lots of powerful things with basically, again, no coding experience really needed. just having just some basic understanding as to what you're trying to do and in terms of what's possible. So, watching a price or getting the gas fee, being able to interact with any of these chains, not only being able to do this without code from scratch, but being able to leverage these existing templates and the community, what they're providing, is really going to start to see a really quick adoption. It's already started the adoption, and what's great about the community is that the community marketplace, you will get paid in the GraphLinq token, and that will incentivize people to want to create these types of useful tools for other people to be able to leverage.
That's I'm very enthusiastic about this adoption strategy because it seems that it will have place for so many people to bring their things to the table, and some things you might not have thought of, someone else will think about it and may even monetize it in the form of, here's my info, here's my templates, here's what I care about, and here's what I've programmed. And I'm willing to provide this and share with the community either for free or for some tokens. That sounds absolutely awesome.